In this video, I'm going to provide a little history and background information for people who haven't seen the 2003 Battlestar Galactica miniseries. I'm only going to give an overview of the history of the series leading up to where the miniseries begins, and a little background information on the most important characters. We will talk about the technology and the events of the miniseries in subsequent videos. The original Battlestar Galactica television show was created by Glenn A. Larson, aired for one season in 1978 to 1979, and was subsequently canceled. ABC attempted a revival in 1980, but that was also quickly canceled. A lawsuit was filed against Universal Studios, alleging ideas had been stolen from Star Wars. This resulted in a countersuit, which spun off into even more legal action, none of which has any bearing on the 2003 reboot. But if anyone is interested in the intellectual property issues of the original series, a Google search will provide a great deal of information. For Star Trek fans, it's important to know that Ronald D. Moore, who wrote for Star Trek The Next Generation, Deep Space Nine, and Voyager, was a co-creator with David Icke of the 2003 reboot of Battlestar Galactica. Ronald D. Moore also co-wrote First Contact and Generations with Brannon Braga. And I wasn't surprised to learn that Moore was Navy ROTC in college and had served on board a frigate for a month during his freshman year. Moore actually seems to have a good grasp of military structure and protocol, which is something that so many Hollywood writers lack. In 2002, David Icke, who Moore had worked with on another series, approached Moore about a new 4-hour Battlestar Galactica miniseries. Although Moore is a self-described agnostic, the creator of the original series, Glenn A. Larson, was a Mormon and had incorporated Mormon theology into the original series. Moore and Icke's reboot does rely heavily on religion, but their characters are polytheists that are analogous to followers of ancient Greek and Roman beliefs that today we consider to be mythology. In the Battlestar Galactica series Bible, Moore and Icke stated straight out that their goal was to reinvent the science fiction television series. They wanted to take the opera out of space opera. The Battlestar Galactica series Bible had some interesting information that went beyond the BSG series. For instance, there was one paragraph that stated, "We take as a given the idea that the traditional space opera, with its stock characters, techno double talk, bumpy-headed aliens, thespian histrionics, and empty heroics, has run its course, and a new approach is required. That approach is to introduce realism into what has heretofore been an aggressively unrealistic genre." Moore and Icke called their reinvention naturalistic science fiction. They were setting out to present fantastic situations in naturalistic terms. Their goal was to film Galactica documentary style, with extensive use of handheld cameras, practical lighting, and functional set design. They wanted their series to feel like a documentary piece on life aboard an aircraft carrier, until someone started talking about Cylons and Battlestars. They vowed to avoid science fiction cliches like parallel universes, evil twins, time travel, mind control, and godlike powers. Their show was to be first and foremost about drama and people. It would be an allegory for our own society. In this video, I am only talking about the 2-part miniseries that acted as the pilot for the 2003 reboot of Battlestar Galactica. If you don't want any spoilers and would like to give the miniseries a try based on what we've already shared, the miniseries is currently available to watch in the United States with a Peacock subscription or for $1.99 from Google Play TV and Movies or Apple TV. The price is $5.99 on YouTube and Vudu. Now, for a little bit of spoiler territory, I will start with some historical background of the Battlestar Galactica universe. The planet Kobol is believed to be the origin of humanity. However, the location of the planet has been lost, and the planet has taken on mythical status. Several millennia before the pilot took place, the 13 tribes of man left Kobol, but their reasons for leaving are unknown. 12 of the tribes settled in a star system with 12 planets that were capable of supporting human life, with each tribe claiming one planet for themselves. The 13th tribe went off on their own, and the legend was that this tribe settled on a planet called Earth. However, none of the other 12 tribes knew Earth's location. The names of the colonies the 12 tribes settled are reminiscent of our own zodiac. Capricorn is the colony of Caprica. Gemini is Geminon. Virgo is Virgon. You get the idea. Each colony was independent and had a different culture and society. Throughout the years, there were different alliances and fights until the colonies of Kobol were united by the First Cylon War. The Colonials had created simple robots called Cylons in order to make their lives easier. But as the technology advanced, these simple robots eventually grew self-aware. If you're familiar with the Terminator franchise, it was a lot like that. Once the machines became self-aware, they rose up against their creators. It was this rebellion that brought the colonies together as a single people. Both the Cylons and the Colonials believed that their very existence depended on annihilating the other. This led to a long and vicious war. Because the Cylons could infiltrate technology, like computers and networks, the Colonials reverted to simpler technology that the Cylons couldn't hack. The Battlestar Galactica was built during this era. When the war finally ended, the Cylons left the colonial star system. A deep space outpost called Armistice Station was built for the express reason of maintaining diplomatic relations. In over 40 years, the Cylons failed to send a single representative. The miniseries begins when the Cylons finally show up and destroy Armistice Station, thus beginning the Second Cylon War. If you're a Star Trek fan, you understand the importance of the ship's captain in a Star Trek series. On the Battlestar Galactica, the equivalent to the ship's captain is Commander William Adama. The colonial battlestars are similar to a naval aircraft carrier, but instead of serving in oceans, the battlestars served in space. There were 12 original battlestars, one allocated to each colony. The Galactica was Caprica's battlestar. William Adama began his military career as a pilot in Galactica's fighter squadron during the First Cylon War. Over 40 years later, he is now in charge of the Galactica, the last battlestar of her era, and is facing retirement as the Galactica is to be decommissioned and turned into a museum. William Adama had 2 sons, Lee and Zach, both of whom followed in their father's footsteps. Captain Lee Adama, call sign Apollo, is a very talented pilot. Zach was not, and his father had to pull strings in order to get Zach admitted to the military academy. When Zach died during a training exercise, Lee blamed their father. After an ugly scene at Zach's funeral, father and son did not speak for 2 years. The other major players in the series are Lieutenant Kara Thrace, Colonel Saul Tigh, President Laura Roslin, Dr. Gaius Baltar, and a Cylon called Six. Lieutenant Kara Thrace, call sign Starbuck, was a natural pilot. She scored higher on the flight training entrance exam than anyone else in the history of the program. She chafed against rules and military protocol. She enjoyed drinking and gambling and left a string of broken hearts in her wake. Kara was a flight school instructor when she met Zach Adama. The two fell in love and were engaged to be married. When Zach failed a key flight test, Kara couldn't bear to fail him and put an end to his dream of becoming a pilot. She passed him when she shouldn't have, resulting in Zach's death during a subsequent training exercise. At Zach's funeral, William Adama put his arm around Kara and had her stand with the family beside Zach's grave. The two grew close, with Kara becoming like a daughter to the older Adama. When Zach had introduced Kara to Lee, there had been a mutual attraction between the two, but neither chose to act on their feelings. Colonel Saul Tigh served during the First Cylon War. He lost so many friends to the Cylons that he just stopped getting close to people. After the war, he had trouble adjusting to civilian life, and he met William Adama while the two were working together on a civilian freighter. After Adama rejoined the military, Tigh felt very alone on the freighter and began to drink heavily. Once Adama became a squadron leader, he was able to get Tigh a spot as a pilot. Tigh stopped drinking, and he and William Adama became close friends, with Saul Tigh eventually becoming William Adama's second-in-command, kind of like a Will Riker to Adama's Jean-Luc Picard. Saul Tigh then met a woman named Ellen, and they were married 2 months later. Ellen was not cut out to be a military wife. Saul was very much aware that Ellen cheated on him, but he couldn't bring himself to end the relationship. He began drinking heavily. Fortunately for him, being the executive officer of the Galactica wasn't a taxing position. At least it wasn't before the Cylons attacked and began the Second Cylon War. Secretary of Education Laura Roslin was on her way back to Caprica from the Galactica's decommissioning ceremony when the Cylons attacked the colony. With the Cylon attack resulting in the deaths of the president, vice president, and all others who preceded her in succession, Secretary of Education Laura Roslin was sworn in as the new president of the colonies. She is also fighting what is presumed to be a losing battle with cancer. Dr. Gaius Baltar was a genius who was against the ban on AI research. He was also the man who created the new navigation system for the colonies. This project gave Baltar access to the defense mainframe, access that he then passed on to his lover. He believed his lover only wanted access in order to create backdoors for her company to get lucrative contracts later on. When she finally disclosed that Cylons now look human and she was in fact a Cylon and had been using her access to disable the colonial defenses, it was too late. Gaius Baltar's lover revealed to him that there were 12 Cylon models that appeared to be human. She was a Model 6. Baltar could see and talk to 6 even when she wasn't there, and 6 told Baltar that the Cylons may have placed a chip in his head that allowed only him to see and communicate with her. She also told him that the Cylons had sleeper agents. These were Cylons who didn't know they were Cylons, and who truly believed that they were human. That's really all you need to know about the history and main characters before diving into the 2003 Battlestar Galactica miniseries. Stay tuned for upcoming videos where we discuss the technology of Battlestar Galactica and the storylines of these introductory episodes.